What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Touchdowns for Home Runs. My name's Bernie. Thank you for joining us today for this college football Big Ten preview. I hope that your day is going absolutely fantastic. Today we're going to be looking at this week's matchup between the number 13 Wisconsin Badgers and my unranked Michigan Wolverines. I think that this game has the potential to be absolutely fantastic if Michigan can bounce back. I know that Wisconsin sort of had the issues with their schedule due to the COVID concerns, but I think that this one could be a very, very interesting game, so let's break that down. Before we get into it, let's take a look at the AP polls. Both of these teams really unaffected by them. Michigan fell out of the ranking. No real surprise there. They've now lost 2 straight, which includes the loss last week to Indiana that we're going to break down in just a second. Wisconsin, their schedule has been all over the place. They've only played 1 game so far, which was against Illinois. Like I was saying before, been dealing with a bunch of canceled games due to COVID. So this is a team that hasn't played a lot of football this year, and that's why I think that Michigan has a chance to sort of make this game interesting, even though on paper it doesn't look necessarily that way. But let's get started with the Michigan Wolverines. The Wolverines went into last week's game against the Indiana Hoosiers, ranked number 23. They lose that game pretty disappointing by a score of 38-21. They got dominated really on both sides of the ball. Joe Milton was okay. He looked so good in week 1 and his ability to kind of see the field, get that consistency going, especially on the short balls. But you know what? He was not great against Michigan State. He was not great against Indiana. He threw 18 for 34, 344 yards and 3 touchdowns. All that's not bad, but the 2 interceptions and the timing on the deep ball especially is very off right now. In terms of the rushing game, I mean, it's not good. This is supposed to be one of, if not the best parts of our offense. And a lot of our offensive veterans come in the rushing game. You know, we look at guys like Zach Charbonnet, Chris Evans, Hassan Haskins, and they're just not bringing it to the table. 18 carries, 13 yards, no touchdowns on the ground. The rushing game has to step up. They have to be able to balance out this offense. And when Joe Milton was struggling, you know, Harbaugh and the offense sort of went towards trying to run the ball, especially on earlier downs. And the backs have to be able to get some, you know, chunk plays or put up the offense in a good position on 2nd or 3rd down. They just weren't able to do that. In terms of receiving, I mean, Ronnie Bell made some terrific catches, especially at the beginning of the second half of that game. 6 receptions, 142 yards. The receiving game, I've said it before, I like where they're trending towards. They're very deep. I like Ronnie Bell, Cornelius Johnson. You know, we get a bunch of players involved. I would like to see AJ Henning and guys like that a bit more. But you know what? The receiving game is a lot better, or is looking pretty solid. I just think that they need to get that timing with Joe Milton. In terms of the defense, they get absolutely exposed by teams who have one really, really good wide receiver. We saw it against Michigan State. Their secondary got exposed this week against Ty Freifogel and Watt Fillier. Fillier had 79 yards, 11 catches. Freifogel had 142 yards. And I mean, yeah, when teams have a good wide receiver, our secondary has trouble playing defense without using their hands. We get a ton of penalties, and we sort of switched to zone last week, but you know what? It was not great, and our zone coverage and man coverage doesn't look fantastic. I think we're getting very repetitive, very predictable, and we're definitely going to need to figure out that in this week. So as I was saying before, Wisconsin has only played 1 game so far this season, which was against Illinois. They come into this game, they went into that game ranked 14, they come into this game ranked number 13. Wisconsin looked very, very solid. It was a 45-7 win. They dominated really throughout that game. They only allowed the 1 touchdown. They had, in quarters 2 and quarters 4, they scored 3 times. I mean, this is a really solid offense and a really solid defense, and they're going to pose a lot of struggles for Michigan. Graham Mertz, the Wisconsin quarterback, 20 for 21, 5 touchdowns, 248 yards. A lot of consistency on the offense, and we know that Michigan's secondary has had trouble. So the good thing that I see here in this matchup is that Wisconsin does not necessarily have a top wide receiver. You know, they're dealing with some issues on the team, but other than Jake Ferguson, who is the only player with over 4 catches against Illinois, I think Michigan's secondary, their defense sort of where they've been exposed so far this season, I think they will be able to adapt for this Wisconsin game. That's the only reason I like this matchup, and also that Wisconsin has not had, you know, a lot of time on the field just because they've had all their games canceled so far. Before we look into the betting lines. Let's first look at the betting trends. Wisconsin has gotten dominated in this series. All time, they only have a record of 16-51, but you know what? They've gotten better in the past 10 games. They have a record of 6-4. In the past 10, they're 7-2-1 ATS, and the over in this game, or in this matchup, has hit 6 of the past 10 times. Overall, the games tend to be pretty even. Wisconsin has the slight edge in the past 10. Michigan tends to get outrushed, but they do outpass Wisconsin, and I expect it to be sort of similar to those trends in terms of this week. Overall, Wisconsin is 4-2 in their last 6 games ATS, including 5-1 ATS in their last 6 against Michigan. But anyways, let's get over to the actual betting trends now. Wisconsin opened up as 4-point favorites. Right now they sit at 4.5-point favorites. And to be honest, I probably expect more and more people to keep on hopping on this Wisconsin line as we get closer to Saturday. Wisconsin sits at -180 on the money line, giving Michigan a +160 on the money line. And the over-under game total for this week is currently sitting at 54. I think that this game is very interesting. I mean, I know I'm going to sound biased whenever I try to justify why Michigan could cover or potentially win the game as well. But Wisconsin has not had a lot of time on the field. And I think, especially defensively, this is a perfect opportunity for Michigan to be able to adjust. I think that they do good against the teams without one really, really solid deep threat. I think that their secondary, especially Vincent Gray, will have a lot easier matchup than they did against Michigan State and definitely did against Indiana. But the Wisconsin offense, they're good on both sides of the ball, actually, and I think it'll be a really good test for Joe Milton. I think that the running game for Michigan definitely has to keep going. I would still probably lean towards Wisconsin, but I genuinely think that, if you're listening to this at home, that this is a game that I think will be a lot closer than some people think. I think that Michigan covers the spread. Wisconsin wins by a field goal. But the value for Michigan at 160 on the money line is not bad at all. And I mean, this is definitely a winnable game for the Wolverines. I think that you should definitely take a look at that +160. As for the over-under, I'm leaning towards the under. I think that it's a little bit high because of that Michigan defense in the past few weeks, and I know that people like the Wisconsin offense as well, but I genuinely do think Michigan makes the adjustment this week, and I think that the Wisconsin defense is too good for this to be the game that we can say that Michigan figures out their offensive struggles, especially the timing on the deeper passes, and their run game just looks like a mess right now. So I would stick to that under 54. Anyways, guys, if you made it to this point in the video, thank you. Let me know your comments, your thoughts, game predictions. Let me know all of that down in the comment section below. If you liked today's video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to Touchdowns to Home Runs, and don't forget to check out our podcast. You can type in Touchdowns to Home Runs on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and on iTunes. And there's some pretty good episodes there, so if you like what you saw today, like what you've seen on the channel so far, definitely make sure to check that out. Also, our website is up right now. You can look it up, tdstohrs.com. There's still some parts, especially in the news section, that me and my partner Noah on the channel have to add. But if you do go to the store section, there's some pretty good merch, college football merch, Touchdowns to Home Runs merch, so you guys should definitely check that out. It's definitely very interesting. Anyways, guys, if you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.